Hi, welcome to Sports Card Connections, and we're going to start off reviewing, actually giving an overview of a Japanese baseball card set, and hopefully this will be informative for a lot of collectors who may be interested but don't know that much about it. This is a good set to start with because it combines a lot of things. Vintage, but it's also a set that was actually produced in the U.S., and that can really help because it has English on there instead of Japanese. So this is a set that is interesting for a lot of reasons. It contains, in only a 90-card set, 4 500 home run hitters, a 300-game winning pitcher, 2 400 hitters, a national hero, a pitcher who struck out 400 batters in 1 year, 3 players involved in gambling scandals, a player who appeared on another Hall of Famer's famous rookie card, a former American pro football player, 2 pairs of brothers, a player who broke Lou Gehrig's consecutive game-playing streak, a future World Series winning manager who was an MVP, 7 picture errors and 2 misspellings, a cultural national barrier breaker, 17 Hall of Famers, a 3,000-hit player, and an atomic bomb survivor, all in 90 cards. So we're going to take a look at the cards and go over them, see the design. This set, of course, is the 1979 TCMA Japanese set. And the pictures were taken by Ed Broder, American serviceman stationed in Japan. I believe a lot of the pictures were taken mid-70s and were actually used, or similar pictures used, in his 1975 black and white set he produced himself. And then TCMA used these pictures to produce the set. So we'll take a look at it, and we will give an overview of some of the players' careers. Try to go kind of quickly since it is 90 cards. So here we go. We'll start it off, first of all, with the design. And we'll start with Bernie Williams. We're going to go by team. Here's the Hankyu Braves of the Pacific League. Japan has a 2-league system, Pacific League and Central League. See kind of the rising sun motif at the bottom. And on the back, this is repeated down at the bottom. And very similar to their minor league issues in the U.S. at that time. And there's the Pacific League logo and his stats from the year before and his career in Japan. So Bernie Williams, ex-San Francisco Giants, you'll find him in 70, 71, and 73 Topps cards. Also from the Braves, Venezuelan second baseman Bobby Marcano. He had a great career, actually, in Japan. And you'll see, here's Ed Broder. He's the exact same picture in his 1975 set. These are the only 2 Braves in this set, which is kind of weird because the Braves had won the Pacific League the last 4 years running. So it's kind of strange that they were, this is it, just the 2 foreign players. All foreign players in Japan in 1979 are in the set. And here's a rather scarce card. There's Bobby Marcano as a 19-year-old playing for La Guaira, the Sharks, the Tiburones, in the Venezuelan Winter League. That's a card from 1970. Next, we move on to the Kintetsu Buffaloes, also in the Pacific League. Again, an ex-San Francisco Giant, Chris Arnold. There he is. He's a very good signer through the mail, by the way, if you do through the mail autographs. Here we have Charlie Manuel. And, of course, Manuel, he was MVP in the Pacific League, future manager of the Philadelphia Phillies, leading them to a World Series championship. During this year, which was his MVP year with the Buffaloes, he was hit in the face by a pitch thrown by Soroku Yagisawa of the Lotte Orions. Here he is years later managing that team. And Manuel came back despite a shattered jaw. He attached a football face mask to his helmet and kept playing. This is a 1979 Calbee card issued in Japan from the last series, with the trophy on there indicating he was Pacific League Most Valuable Player. And finally, to complete Charlie Manuel, there he is managing the Phillies in 2012. Next we have Keishi Suzuki, 300-game winner for the Kintetsu Buffaloes, and their greatest pitcher in that the Buffaloes team history by far. Mostly on bad teams, not until later in his career did they actually get pretty good. They were pennant winners this year and in 1980. Next we have Buffalo's first baseman Toru Ogawa. Excellent line drive hitter. He appears on a number of Japanese cards. Shigeru Ishiwata, in middle infielder for the Buffaloes, who is the unfortunate subject of a historical event you wouldn't want to be in. 7th game of the Japan series. He was batting in the bottom of the 9th with the runner on third. They ordered a squeeze play, and he missed the pitch. And it actually made it on a card, because as you can see, the pitch was actually over his head, and the runner was out by a mile. The Carp won the series. Next we have Kyosuke Sasaki, Buffalo's outfielder, posing with no hat. Later he would manage the Buffaloes, and as you can see, here's a Calby. That's the TCMA. Here's a Calby card of him from 79. Again, no hat. That's from the first series of 1979 Calby. Then we have veteran outfielder Iwao Ikebe. We go next to the Hiroshima Carp, who won their first ever Japan series this year. There's their big superstar, 500 home run hitter Koji Yamamoto. Also managed the Carp twice in the future, well, obviously in the future from here. And Sachio Kinugasa, the third baseman, who broke Lou Gehrig's consecutive game-playing streak. Longtime Carp star. One of their starting pitchers, Kojiro Ikegaya. Here we have Yutaka Inatsu. Struck out 401 batters in 1968. Also, off the field, tended to hang around with the wrong characters, got involved in the gambling issues, and was received a stern warning from Japan Pro Baseball. Here we go with our first two switched pictures. Carp shortstop Yoshihiko Takahashi and pitcher Tomohiro Kaneda. The pictures are switched. Takahashi is on the left, Kaneda is on the right, but they put the pictures on each other's cards. There was no correction, so that's it. You just got it wrong. Carp first baseman Jitsuo Mizutani. Came up as an outfielder, played first base later, a very good hitter. Next we have one of the brothers, the Garrett brothers. Here's Adrian of the Carp. And since his real given name is Henry Adrian, you'll notice here's a 1978 Calby card of him in Japan. It says H. Garrett up at the top. And they always did that on his cards. See on the back? Get that focused. H. Garrett for Henry rather than Adrian. Next comes American outfielder, also on the Carp, Jim Lytle, ex-New York Yankees, Dodgers, Expos, and White Sox player. He had a very good career in Japan. The Carp were managed by Takeshi Koba, their former shortstop. There he is. And here's a Calby card from the last series. The Carp as champions of Japan. And here is Koba in 1964. Whoa! He went flying. 1964, playing shortstop for the Carp. We switch now to the Chunichi Dragons. Senichi Hoshino, longtime pitcher, future manager. Their all-time great catcher, Tatsuhiko Kimata. Second baseman Morimichi Takagi managed the team later. Nickname was Mr. Second Baseman. Yasunori Oshima played over 20 years. First baseman and outfielder. Also played with the Fighters. Ichiro Suzuki's favorite player as a kid, Yasushi Tao of the Dragons. There's Adrian's brother, Wayne, former New York Mets third baseman. Outfielder Bobby Jones, who is one of the ones who went to Japan after playing in the major leagues and then played in the major leagues again when he came back with the Texas Rangers. Dragons managed by Toshio Naka, former outfielder. Here he is in 1967 in the Kabaya Leaf set we will be reviewing in the future. It's a very famous set, very popular. Next we go to the Nippon Ham Fighters. And no, they are not the Ham Fighters, which I've heard many people refer to them as. The ownership is the Nippon Ham Company. The team is the Fighters. There's Sam Ewing, former White Sox and Blue Jays. Starting pitcher Kazumi Takahashi. Another starter, Kazushi Saeki. And the first Japanese ever to play in the major leagues, Masanori Murakami. And one of his very few Japanese cards, actually. He just isn't found in very many sets. But he is found, of course, in the 1965 top set with the San Francisco Giants. We have Fighters catcher Toshio Kato. First baseman outfielder Junichi Kashiwabara. Third baseman outfielder Masaru Tomita. Former Yankees and Brewers outfielder Bobby Mitchell, who led the Pacific League in home runs. Did very well in Japan. Another Fighters outfielder Mikio Sendo. And here's the player all Americans know, Sadaharu Oh, 868 career home runs. Every award imaginable, one of the greatest players ever. Right at the end, his second to the last year as a player. Here's his famous batting style. That's a 1976 Calvi from the All-Star Series. Then we have Japan's national hero. When your nickname is Mr. Pro Baseball, well, that says it all. Shigeo Nagashima. He was managing the Giants then, having retired after 1974. Here he is in 67 in the Kabaya Leaf set for the Giants when he was their star third baseman. Then we have pitcher Rick Kruger, Red Sox Indians, and then he went 1 year in Japan with the Giants. Here's a player who had a great career in Japan, John Sippen, second baseman, Whales and Giants. He was with the Padres in 69. He is not on an American card, but he's on lots of cards in Japan. Here's our spelling error, one of them. That is Isao Shibata, not Osao Shibata. He was a big high school pitcher, but became an outfielder with the Giants, and he was a big stolen base threat, played a long, long time. Next, we have a man who covers a lot of things. His real name is Yang Han. He's Korean. Isao Harimoto. Now, Harimoto is the only Japanese player to have 3,000 hits using a Japanese name. He also survived the atomic bombing in Hiroshima. His mother shielded him against a tree as the bomb went off. They were out for an early morning walk. Now, Harimoto has done something only 3 players in pro baseball ever have: 500 home runs, 3,000 hits, 300 stolen bases. The other 2 guys that have done that are this guy and Willie Mays. So he's in pretty select company. Moving on in the Giants, we have Shigeru Takata. He replaced Nagashima at third when he retired. Pitcher Hisao Niura. He's a starting pitcher, very long career. We have a coach, Wally Yonamine. Wally played for the San Francisco 49ers. Pro football, then he went into minor league baseball and eventually went over to Japan as a player and stayed the rest of his career there as a coach and manager. Here he is coaching with the Giants. And here's a card of him playing for the Giants in the 1950s. Next we go to the Nankai Hawks. We have Toshizo Sakamoto, infielder. later a coach. Teruhide Sakurai, shortstop. Yoshito Oda, first baseman. Carlos May, former White Sox, Yankees, and Angels outfielder. Had a very good career with the Hawks. Frank Artenzio, played with the Royals and came over after being at AAA with the Expos at Denver. Made the All-Star team this year in '79 with the Hawks. Third baseman Mitsuru Fujiwara. He was an All-Star. Next we go to the Cebu Lions. This is the first year Cebu had purchased the Lions. So it's the first year of the Cebu Lions. These pictures were taken at Aloha Stadium in Honolulu when the Lions were there to play an exhibition series against the San Diego Padres as they were going back to Japan, having spent the first part of spring training in Florida. So we have former White Sox, Orioles, Red Sox, Brewers first baseman Tony Muser. Later would manage the Royals. We have Koichi Tabuchi. Now, Tabuchi was a big slugger. He broke O's consecutive years of leading the Central League in home runs when he nosed him out. And he had been traded in a huge trade from the Hanshin Tigers to the Lions this year, and they were converting him to play first base. And he had always been a catcher. So in spring training, they worked on this with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And you can see here from the Lions yearbook, there we go, there's Tabuchi working on his footwork with Willie Stargell on the right and Coach Al Monchak. And they were helping Tabuchi learn how to play first base. He never caught again. He was a first base and a DH with the Lions the rest of his career. Here he is in 1976 as the Hanshin Tigers catcher. Moving on, we have one of the most underrated players of all time, Katsuya Nomura. 657 home runs, a Triple Crown winner, played 27 years, I believe, and he was a catcher. He didn't switch positions. He was just unbelievable, mostly with the Hawks. Here he is at the end. He had one more year to go after this, and then he went into coaching and managing. He was a very successful manager, led the Swallows to Japan Series titles, one of the all-time great players. Next we have Jack Malouf, who hit 400. He hit 402 at Auburn in the minor leagues in 1971 and won the Topps Minor League Player of the Year award, but he never made the majors. This one year he played in Japan. He led the Pacific League in at-bats and hit a solid, I believe, 285 or so. And then he is coached in the majors and managed in the minors. Next we have Masahiro Doi. Over 400 home runs, but he's not in the Hall of Fame. And the reason is probably linked to, again, he got suspended 1 month for involvement in a gambling scandal in his younger days. And it's kind of never left him. But he was a great, great player. He also holds a trivia thing. 1980 Calby card, first Japanese player with a beard. Of course, earlier in Japan, this just never would have been accepted. But here he is, and he did have a beard on the card, which is unusual. Second baseman Hiroyuki Yamazaki, power-hitting second baseman, an all-star, very, very good player for many years. The pitching coach for the Lions at that time was former Pirates all-star pitcher of the 50s and 60s, Vern Law. So there he is. Next we go to Korean In-chun Bak. In Japan he's known as Jin-ten Hak, but his name is In-chun Bak, B-A-E-K, catcher and outfielder. Played over 20 years. He hit .412 in the first year that the Korean League, the KBO, was started as a 38-year-old. He was actually born in China. He's Korean, played 20 years of Japanese baseball, then played in Korea. And he's just an interesting career. Here he is very late in his career. Next is third baseman Michio Arito. This is all the Lotte Orions, who are now the Chiba Lotte Marines. They changed their name when they moved into Marine Stadium in the city of Chiba when it was built. His nickname is Mr. Lotte, Arito. Another set of brothers are the Lee brothers, former Major Leaguer Liran, whose son Derek had a very good Major League career, first baseman. Liran is the all-time batting average leader in Japan, and was there 11 years. Here's his brother Leon, who had been a minor leaguer in the Cardinals organization, and Liran suggested he come over and joined him in Japan, which he did, and had a great career there. Both of them with Lotte. They were managed by Kazuhiro Yamauchi, who had had an excellent career in the 50s and 60s as an outfielder. And here he is managing, and this is he in 1964, just like Koba. Took a jump off the cliff. Whoop. There he is in 64 with the Hanshin Tigers. Great hitter, Yamauchi. Next we have Dave Hilton, third baseman, Padres and Swallows. And he had also 1 year with the Hanshin Tigers, but he was very popular his first year in Japan in 78 because the Swallows won their first ever pennant and series. He was their third baseman. But he also appears on Mike Schmidt's rookie card, because his real name's John David Hilton. So they have him down as John Hilton, but he went by Dave. It's on there with Ron Say of the Dodgers. And that card, of course, is a very popular card in the hobby. Continuing with the Swallows, who were defending champions then, you have first baseman Katsuo Osugi, big power hitter, and a 300 hitter. Very, very, very good player. Tsutomu Wakamatsu, one of the all-time batting average leaders in Japan, his whole career with the Swallows, managed them later as well. Former Padres and Blue Jays outfielder John Scott. He's from Los Angeles. Outfielder Toru Sugiura, 20 years with the Swallows. And here we have another picture error. The picture is shortstop Shintaro Mizutani. This picture is the manager Tatsuro Hirooka. And this picture is coach Akihito Kondo. So we had a three-way thing trying to get him in here. They misspelled Kondo. First of all, they said it Akihiko. It's To. So the pictures are all switched. This is Mizutani. This is Hirooka. This is Kondo. And they just did a three-way switcheroo. We do have Hirooka. Kondo had been a second baseman with the Whales. Hirooka was an all-star shortstop with the Giants. Here he is as a player. And of course, here he is as manager of the Swallows. Later, he'd be general manager of the Marines. But they messed up the names. Former Major Leaguer Don Blasingame, managing the Hanshin Tigers. He had been with the Hawks, ended his career as a player and coached with them many years. Orioles outfielder Mike Reinbach. Very popular player, hard-working player with the Hanshin Tigers. Masashi Takenouchi, Tigers outfielder, veteran player. Mr. Tigers, their slugging third baseman Masayuki Kakefu. Long career, big power hitter. Second baseman Katsuhiro Nakamura managed the Tigers in the future. Sidearm submariner Shigeru Kobayashi, one of the most unusual pitching motions you will ever see if you ever look at a film of Kobayashi. He's a great starting pitcher for the Giants and the Tigers. Former Angels, Mets, Mariners outfielder Leroy Stanton, played 1 year in Japan. Pitcher Takanori Emoto, another starter. His career ended rather abruptly when he criticized Tigers senior management after a game once, and they promptly released him. No one would sign him, and he ended up going into TV work. Longtime Carp pitcher Sohachi Aniya. Here is late in his career with the Tigers. Next we go to the Whales, who are now the Bay Stars. First baseman Makoto Matsubara. Now these orange and green uniforms, these shots are from the mid-70s. These are like 4 to 5 years old, these pictures. They had already switched to a blue and navy blue. There's Matsubara. These are some of Ed Broder's older pictures. Outfielder Masayuki Nakatsuka. Shortstop, Daisuke Yamashita. Again, those are older, probably 1975-76 for those pictures. This is actually what the Whales were wearing then. When they moved into Yokohama Stadium, they added Yokohama to their name, Taiyo Whales, and switched to the blue and white. That's Kaoru Beto, star player of the 50s. His nickname was the Gentleman of Baseball. Here he is for the Mainichi Orions in the 50s. Outfielder Gene Martin, who did a great job in Japan, had a really nice career. After barely making it in the majors, there he is with the Whales. He had formerly been with the Dragons, and again, like Adrian Garrett, you see there's a T down there, T. Martin, because his name's Thomas Eugene. So that's what they had him down as. There he is with the Dragons, and here's his only major league card, 1970 with the Senators on this rookie card right in the middle. Former Braves and Mets second baseman Felix Millan, who won a batting title with the Whales. Second baseman Mitsuo Motoi also received a warning for gambling issues in the early 70s. Had a long career. Third baseman Tomio Tashiro, longtime Whales player, excellent all-star. And it ends with two more picture errors. These two are flipped, both excellent hitters, both had great careers with the Whales. Yoshikazu Takagi, he's on the right. Keiichi Nagasaki, he's on the left. So they flopped the pictures once again. So that's how the set ends with those two cards. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this information gives you some help to learn something about Japanese baseball. And I want to also say hello to our Japanese exchange student who's like a daughter to us, Aoi Watanabe. And hello, Aoi. How are you, my dear? And we hope to see you soon. We are hoping that more Americans would get interested in Japanese baseball, as it has a lot to offer, a lot of history, a lot of different kinds of cards. And really, you can get stuff back to the 1930s when professional baseball started. So, Aoi, if we see you later this year, anata wa kirei desu. Okay, thanks everyone. And also, if you notice the artwork in the middle there of Matty Alou, that's from my friend Laura in England. Check out her YouTube channel, LJ's Clubhouse, where she covers Yankee cards and Arsenal, her big love. We're going to be covering different sports on this channel. As you can see, we have soccer, we have hockey. If we panned around to the right, there's the Los Angeles Rams team picture from 1970. Japanese baseball box, a Japanese card album. And that Matty Alou was done for me by Laura, who's a great artist. She created a copy of his 1961 Topps rookie card. So thanks again, everybody. We hope you enjoyed it, and look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.